Welcome to this presentation about university spin-offs, challenges, and opportunities. My name is Windischberger, and I'm from the Center for High Field Center Medical Physics, Biomedical Engineering, Medical University. Well, first, some disclaimers. I am a shareholder of the university spin-off ALSIX and an advisory board member and Bright. So why should we have university spin-offs? Well, in principle, what we can expect is to enhance the economic development. We can create new employment opportunities, increase tax revenues, and obviously to disseminate technology that has been developed at universities. On the other hand, we can also expect to enhance society because university spin-offs allow us to develop and commercialize research results that might be ignored otherwise. And such, we can reduce the number of research results that may get lost in the archives. So research results that have been achieved, but without a proper commercialization or exploitation strategy, they simply get lost in the archives. On the other hand, the economic impact of university spin-offs is questionable or can be questionable. And this is because university spin-offs are predominantly small firms with only negligible growth. And the outcomes, if we take a look at broader statistics, the outcomes are highly skewed, with most of the impact accounted for by very few successful firms. Well, the university's perspective on spin-offs is quite simple. First of all, spin-offs are great for reputation, and spin-offs are a great source of additional funding. These are the two most important aspects a university typically sees in a spin-off company. Now, this is a bit from the academic's perspective. So as an academic, and you're thinking about starting your own university spin-off company, well, probably it's about unlimited freedom. And there's one aspect that you have in common with your university, and that's probably lots of money. So this money aspect is something that you have in common with your university, but from most academics' perspective, they see a lot of freedom to operate using a spin-off company. A lot of the limitations of the regulations you have to follow within the university are no longer there, or at least are not as strong as they are within the university. So therefore, this outlook of a lot of freedom is definitely one of the biggest drivers for people to think about founding a university. Well, the reality is a little bit different from those expectations. Well, in fact, the reality has a lot of paperwork involved. There are a lot of administrative issues you need to worry about. And sometimes you might feel a little bit desperate in the process. But let's take a closer look at that. Well, this is now data from Sweden, so if we take a look at business survival rates for academic entrepreneurs, and we start thinking about the time between the creation of the company, and what we actually see is a wonderful Kaplan-Meier curve, which goes down, unfortunately, quite rapidly. So what you can see here is that after 8 years, only about 12%, 15% of all companies, of all spin-off companies, are still on the market. So there is quite a competition. So if you think by founding a university spin-off company, you are out of the competition that you see in the academic sector. That's not the case. It's just a different kind of competition, and also their survival rates are pretty low. Now, the same authors have also made a very nice analysis on the different factors that determine the probability of an academic becoming an entrepreneur. It's also data from Sweden. Now, this is the final results table, and I'm just focusing on the most significant results. So if you're an engineer, if you have education in engineering, this is this will increase your probability of becoming an academic, of becoming an entrepreneur. If your grades are not that good, that's actually good. So you should be an engineer. Your grades should not be very good. You should be young, and you should have some non-academic experience. Now, these are personal factors in there, and there's one environmental factor, and this is how intensive research and development at your local university really is. And that's quite interesting, right? So because it actually shows us that it's not necessarily the high flyers that will start the academic spin-offs. It's rather the young that have some non-academic experience and where, well, grades are not the most important aspect. Now, what are the steps you have to think about towards your very own university spin-off company? Well, obviously you have to start with finding a topic. Finding a topic means you have to find a product, an aspect, something that could be the foundation of your spin-off. So you need a business model for that. So normally that's very often some sort of formalized IP. So it could be a patent or some other invention that has copyright or something else on there. Talking about copyright for software copyright is very often a very good basis for some spin-off activities. Because their secrecy is very often chosen as a competitive strategy rather than formal IP protection. So this is one of the main advantages of software. Here you have copyright law that protects you quite well. So there's no need to file a patent or to do some other protection measures in there. Of course, you can also think about some specific know-how that only you possess that could be then used in a spin-off company on a consultancy basis, so that other companies or maybe other universities, other researchers can consult you and pay for this consultancy because of the very special, very specific know-how you may possess. Next steps. Well, once you have a product, once you have something to start your business on, next step obviously is you need to find a customer. And that's actually not that simple. A lot of researchers are extremely happy about their results. They think these results will change the world, but unfortunately, it's very hard to find someone who is actually willing to pay something for this particularly great research results there. So you need to think about who would want to spend money on my invention, on my technique, on the know-how I have developed. This is this aspect is something that researchers have in common with artists. So if you come up with a painting in a very specific style, and you want to become a commercially successful artist, then you also need to find a customer. You need to find someone who is interested in paying something for your work. And the same is here. Now, once we have identified this group of people, the next question you have to think about is how much would they be willing to spend on either this invention, on the technique that you've developed, on the know-how that you have accumulated. Next step is we have to think about costs, right? So you have to think about how much effort will it be for you to either manufacture the devices so you can sell them, or maybe implement the code in such a way that the customer can actually use it, or that the data from the customer can actually process with your software. Or also, in case of consultancy, you have to think about how much effort is it for you to provide the consultancy the customer expects and is willing to pay for. So once you have your cost structure somehow thought about, then you can do a simple cash flow analysis. And this will allow you to give you a hint on the financial investment that's actually needed to keep a company up and running. Keep in mind, once you have a company, there are always running costs. You have to somehow cover these costs. This is what the cash flow analysis allows you to at least estimate. And after the cash flow analysis, you should be able to make a decision on whether or not you want to take an investor on. Now, next steps towards your university spin-off is obviously you have to talk to your university. Most often, your university will have something referred to as a technology transfer office or something of a more or less similar meaning. So this is an office installed by the university with the idea to commercialize things that have been developed in the university. So this again includes patents, but it also includes techniques, some methods, or it can also include know-how you have. Well, keep always in mind that this technology transfer office typically wants to maximize the income per effort ratio. They also have to adhere to certain numbers, and what the upper management wants to see is that the technology transfer office is a way to raise more funding for the university with minimum effort in there. So that means the TTOs will negotiate with you about licensing fees, whether the university wants to have a piece of the cake of your company, or whether they would like to have some other arrangements with you. Universities are always very afraid of a future scenario where your spin-off company is extremely successful and is becoming extremely valuable, and then they are afraid that they are somehow left out of the game. So therefore, they will come up with some ideas of how the university can participate in your company's success. You have to negotiate quite hard for your licensing agreement. Keep in mind, this licensing agreement critically depends your cash flow. So the more you have to spend for licensing, obviously the less money, the less funding you have available to cover your running costs and to develop new things in your company and so on. So this negotiation will be hard, but keep in mind it's important. It's the basis for your commercial success. Even though you enter hard or quite maybe emotional negotiations with the university, always try to keep a good relationship with the technology transfer office. Really try to avoid seeing them as your enemy. They have their own targets, they have their own aims, so they are quite different from your targets, from your aims, and that's the reason why they behave the way they behave. So just try to find a good relationship with them in such a way that that the university will get something from your commercial success, but still you have the flexibility, the freedom really to operate in a way that makes sense also in a commercial way. Now, for these negotiations, it's always good to have a plan B in your mind. So negotiating is a lot easier if your life does not depend on a successful agreement with your TTO. So when you negotiate with your TTO, I would very strongly recommend to just offer it as an option to the TTO that there would be an option for a spin-off company. This could be a commercial success both for the university and for you, but you don't need to start your own business, right? So your financial basis is sound, so there's no need, no necessity for you to really start a business. So it's just something that you would do because it makes sense. And then your negotiations are obviously a lot easier. Be sure to know the needs of the university. So the university also has some aims, some things the university needs to achieve. If one of these achievements, one of these aims, one of these targets is actually a university spin-off, then you actually know that the university wants to have the spin-off there. So there's also a good reason for them to be nice in these negotiations. So finally, liability issues, always a very good point you can raise in negotiations with the university. Because if someone at the university says, well, we don't need your spin-off company, we can just manufacture the stuff on our own, you can always just raise the liability flag. And universities typically are very reluctant to enter any agreements where full liability is on there. Last slide on the steps. Find a great team. Be sure to team up with people that have complementary capabilities. So most researchers are not particularly fond of accounting, legal topics, trade regulations, and so on. So find someone who is. And make a decision on your future role. Would you like to stay with a full-time position in university, plus have sort of a full-time position in the company? Would you like to take a sabbatical from your academic duties and move into the company for a few months? Or would you like to temporarily reduce your academic workload to have the time available to get your spin-off company started? There's always a good idea to try to get some initial funding via spin-off or startup grants. These grants are often available. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to actually get access to these grants because also the grant agencies are fond of spin-off companies that scale in a very nice way, so they become extremely successful very soon. If you are manufacturing something where this successful cash flow development is not that obvious, it might get actually quite difficult to get initial funding there. And always be sure to fulfill all requirements for running a company in your field, all legal requirements, I mean. So you need to have some trade licenses, business licenses, membership of chambers of commerce, whatever's needed to do that. Choose your enterprise, either sole proprietorship, a partnership, or a limited liability company. It's all up to you. There are pros and cons for all of those options. If you go into medical device manufacturing, you have to deal with medical device regulation. The requirements that you have to follow in medical device regulations typically depend on the hazards that a device that you manufacture might pose. Just the classification of your device in the European Union is a 57 pages guidance document. It causes considerable administrative load and a considerable financial burden. An alternative in there is if you want to manufacture something, you manufacture it as a sort of electronics company, and then you just sell it to a medical device manufacturer who's then actually distributing your device. Just a few slides on the on our company, our spin-off company. So we call it ALSIX. It's about TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation. It is TMS is an FDA-approved treatment for depression. It's non-invasive. We don't really know the neural basis fully. And that's the standard way of combining TMS with fMRI. So we do brain mapping with fMRI and stimulate at the same time. If we do that in the standard way, we have poor image quality, slow scanning, and space. So we developed this device here, which is a dedicated MR receive coil that's mounted underneath the TMS device. It allows flexible positioning, excellent signal from stimulation time site, and it allows you for faster scanning and increases quite a lot. We have sold this device to a number of customers. I told you teaming up with people is really important. So I teamed up with Elmar Leisler, who is the head of the RF lab here at the Medical University, and Gerrit Bressel, who runs several companies and is taking up a lot of the parts in there. Now, in summary, university spin-offs are a great way to commercialize your research results. Because they limit university liability, which is always something universities are very fond of, and it allows you to market products without any restraints from university law. The universities are also happy about spin-offs because they, in general, generate additional funding via licensing agreements. Before you start a spin-off, be sure to identify customers, perform a cash flow analysis. It allows you to estimate how much costs you will have and how much income you will raise with your company. Negotiate reasonable license deals, and always be sure to fulfill all requirements imposed by law, particular medical device regulation things.